The Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Monday, November 2nd, 2020, start of a brand new month. And of course, tomorrow is election day. And it's just getting really, really crazy out there. And I suppose I want to start off now just by encouraging everybody, if you have not already voted with the early voting or the mail voting or whatever, please make a point of getting on out there and voting tomorrow, because the races are very, very close. The polls are being skewed to try and discourage voters from going to the polls here, but you need to get on out there, because it is going to come down to just very, very tiny fractions of percentages differences in some of these swing states here, especially in Pennsylvania, which is a must-have for Trump to win. If he doesn't win that one, then chances are he's not going to win re-election. And of course, after Election Day, we're going to still be counting votes in some of those states for another week. Then there's going to be another week of writings, followed by the start of the 2022 campaigns. So that's how things are being done here in the United States of America. Fox News is running a banner right now saying the final scramble for votes, and it's out there. Now, Donald Trump is out there saying that despite Biden is leading in 4 swing states, and that's only in one set of polls, and the other set of polls, Trump is ahead, and Trump is saying our numbers are looking very good, and he has definitely been racking up those frequent flyer miles on Air Force One the last couple of days. He did, I think, 5 stops yesterday, did 4 today, and it's just a blitz there, and Biden is out there as well. And here's a very bizarre story, and it kind of worries me. This is from the Gateway Pundit here, where Joe Biden made these 3 stops in Michigan with Barack Obama, and at one of them, Barack had to say his name 3 times before Biden actually walked out on the stage here. And Joe told voters in Michigan, quote, "I don't need you to get me elected," end quote. Now, whether that's his typical arrogance going on, or he knows that the vote riggers have got his election in the bag, I don't know. But this is the second time he's made a comment like that about, if you don't like what I'm doing, don't vote for me. And that's not something that most candidates say during election season, unless something else is going on in the back room here. And Biden continues to put, he's suffering from hoof and mouth disease. And apparently he had a couple of goofs there. And during a drive-in rally on Saturday, Biden told voters about how President Trump was going to destroy the Obama-era Affordable Care Act, and apparently had trouble saying the word health care. And he said, Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. Barack and I think it's right to have Badakath care. And everybody was left scratching his head, about what the heck is going on there. It seems like there's a couple of short circuits up there in Biden's brain there. Now, Trump is out there denying a claim that he is going to declare victory early, even if he's short of the 270 Electoral College votes. And basically, Biden is out there saying he will not let the president steal the election, because that, after all, is the Democrats' job. And once again, they're projecting. Now, the Bikers for Trump rally draws thousands of motorcycles to Pennsylvania. And Eric Trump is out there stumping for his father in a bid to boost the state poll figures. Now, Pennsylvania is key. It's neck and neck right now. And Trump needs it if he's going to win the presidency. So just like Florida was the key state back in 2000, it's shaping up that in 2020, it's going to be Pennsylvania where all the Sturm und Drang is going to be happening. Now, Lady Gaga is out there endorsing Joe Biden, and apparently she dressed up as what she thought rednecks look like. which got her labeled as condescending and got her basically slammed for mocking rednecks. And, there's a lot of voters out there in flyover country, and the Democrats have a tendency to focus on the coastal areas only. And that's where Trump really turned things around back in 2016, as he swept that whole Midwest. So we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. And again, we're not going to have the final results tomorrow night, and everybody's going to be screaming and claiming victory, and who knows what's going to go on. Now, Roger Stone is out there in an article on Infowars.com, basically saying how the Democrats plan to steal the 2020 election. And basically goes on in saying, they've got the illegal immigrants voting, which is not supposed to happen. There's, all this stuff about, having phony driver's licenses to let ineligible people vote, burning up ballot collection sites in heavy GOP areas. I mean, just all kinds of stuff they're doing. They're not even really trying to hide it. Now, Biden is out there stumping. He and Kamala Harris are out there. They're actually going more socialist these last couple of days of the campaign here. And Joe Biden is out there once again pounding that he wants to confiscate rifles such as AR-15s. But the FBI crime statistics say that rifles accounted for only 5.2% of known firearm murders last year. Shotguns accounted for 2.9%. Other guns, I don't even know what that means, 0.6%. Handguns were responsible for 91.3% of murders in 2019. But rifles are stereotypically white people guns, while handguns are black people guns. So what Joe is promising he's going to do is crack down on white gun ownership. And that, I think, is going to get a lot of people very upset, especially around here. Everybody has guns around here. It's amazing. It absolutely is. Hunter Biden has apparently gone into hiding, and, the Biden campaign is trying to distance itself and Joe Biden from Hunter Biden and his laptop from hell and the child porn and everything else that's out there. It's spreading virally, mostly by email and Skype and Zoom meetings, not to mention face-to-face conversations. But Joe Biden's wife, Jill, his daughter, Ashley, and all of his grandchildren, they're following Joe Biden around the campaign trail. Hunter is nowhere to be found. Somebody has sort of spoofed the Where's Wally idea by saying, "Where's Hunter?" And so he's probably in hiding somewhere if he's not in detox. Okay, now here's an interesting statistic. Over a quarter of the signups for 3 of President Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rallies held Saturday did not even vote in 2016. So Trump is pulling out people who didn't vote before, and because they didn't vote in 2016, they weren't on the rolls, which means the pollsters have missed them. And that may be changing the dynamic. Like I said, we're going to start getting a sense of what's happening tomorrow. But again, with all of this late counting and accepting ballots without postmarks, and the worst one is that state where they're saying the signature on the ballot doesn't have to match the registration. I mean, that's wide open for fraud there. Our election system is just totally, totally crooked here. And, this could wind up in the courts up until the safe harbor day when the Electoral College voters get selected by the various states. Now, business owners in Democrat-controlled cities are starting to board up their storefronts in preparation for an onslaught of mostly peaceful demonstrations should Trump win the election tomorrow. And the real concern is that the party of love and tolerance is going to lose the election and react pretty much the way they reacted when Hillary lost back in 2016. So one business owner in Los Angeles is out there saying, we just want to make sure our businesses will be safe from the sudden outpouring of peace, love, and tolerance. So they're worried about all these Democrats roaming around spreading peace following a Trump victory. Now, apparently, the White House is having a new non-scalable fence put up today, just before the election. It's going to secure the White House complex, the Ellipse, and Lafayette Square. And so they're very concerned about something happening there. There is that group that announced a week ago that they were going to drive Trump from the White House, even if he won the election. So I'm sure the Secret Service are earning their overtime now. All right, let's get into COVID-19. It's still out there, and we're getting arguments back and forth here. Faced with the reality of a winter surge, Sweden is finally bringing in some restrictions after months of being one of the few countries with no lockdown. So they're starting to say maybe we need to do a lockdown. In contrast, Russia is not planning a lockdown for the second wave, suggesting it should never have locked down for the first one. Because it caused a lot of damage to their economy, much as the lockdowns have kneecapped our economy as well. Now, at one of the Trump rallies, the crowd started shouting to fire Dr. Fauci. And Trump said, you know, let me wait until a little bit after the election. I appreciate the advice. So he's dropped a hint that he may fire Dr. Fauci once the election is over. Getting on into the international news, Armenia has released a video of a detained Syrian mercenary captured on the battlefield. The Armenian Ministry of Defense published the video documenting the interrogation of a person who is said to be a Syrian militant who was captured in the Karabakh region. And the man is on the tape, says his name is Yusuf Al-Abed Al-Haji, who's from the village of Al-Zayed. Let me try that one again. Al-Zayadaya, located in the countryside of the Idlib Governorate. And apparently he's married with 5 children, which kind of makes you wonder why he'd go off to war. All right, Donald Trump has now approved the sale of the F-22 Raptor to Israel. And it's part of an effort to placate Israel over the sale of F-35s to the United Arab Emirates. Details are still forthcoming, but the sale will require an act of Congress. That's a piece of cake for Israel. Congress has forbidden exports of the F-22 to prevent the stealth technology falling into foreign hands. Getting approval for sales to Israel usually isn't that difficult, but this may prove to be the exception. And apparently President Clinton approved the idea of such a sale in 2001. By the time he left office, it was ultimately forgotten. Okay, we're seeing more of the land grab going on here. Apparently, Israeli soldiers attacked Palestinian farmers to kick them out of their lands in Beit Unmar town in the south of the West Bank, forcing them to leave their land. And apparently, an activist in Beit Umar told WAFA that Israeli soldiers fired tear gas canisters at farmers harvesting the olive crops on their land. And they had to leave after inhaling the gas. Now, the reason the olives are so important, it takes 10 years after you plant an olive tree for it to bear a saleable product. And so when you hear about settlers going in and chopping down the groves and everything, this is an attack on Palestinians' livelihood. Olive harvesting and olive exports is one of the major businesses of the Palestinian territories. Okay, there is another story, this one coming out of Middle East Monitor. Israel is subjecting Palestinian children to abuse, both physical and psychological. And apparently there was this kid who was grabbed from his home. The Israelis told his father he would return the next day. He did not return until the following year. And apparently child prisoners are a major part of the Palestinian narrative. Hundreds of children as young as 12 are detained and prosecuted by the Israeli military system every single year. Out in California, lobby groups are once again trying to manipulate the public education system in California in order to censor Palestinian and Arab scholarship, using the excuse that they're fighting anti-Semitism. And apparently the current battle is around the state's ethnic studies curricula. And pro-Israel groups are agitated over the state's decision to reinstate Arab American studies in the proposed ethnic studies model curriculum after they pressured the California Department of Education to remove it altogether. Make them invisible, I guess. All right, we have talked before about some of the very wasteful military spending in this country, mostly on weapon systems that fail to perform, certainly in comparison with what they cost. And we have talked before about the Freedom and Independence class littoral combat ship. And apparently they keep breaking down the ones that have already been built. They're not going to build anymore. They've gone back to the drawing board to devise something new. But apparently the littoral combat ship Detroit is limping back to Mayport, Florida from a deployment in South America. And this is the latest setback for the Freedom Variant's complex propulsion system. They have had all kinds of issues with the propulsion train of those ships here. So Detroit will redeploy to Southern Command when repairs are completed, according to the U.S. 4th Fleet Commander, Rear Admiral Don Gabrielson. And apparently they're saying it suffered an engineering casualty during routine operations, and a technical evaluation determined that in-port repairs would be required. All right, let's get into the economic news here. I'm trying to get through the news so we can get the phone lines open and talk about tomorrow's election. Huawei purportedly has a plan to defeat U.S. sanctions by building its own chips. Now, Huawei has apparently decided they are never going to be free from U.S. sanctions, which have choked off its access to much needed chips. And so they're going to build their own chip plant. According to the Financial Times, Huawei is working on a plan to develop its own chip plant in Shanghai. Now, Trump administration sanctions prohibit any company from using U.S. software or equipment to sell chips to Huawei without a license from the Department of Commerce. Huawei's just going to build their own. And of course, that's a loss of business and profitability to American chip makers. So not a well thought out plan here, Mr. Trump. Because Huawei is going to get their chips anyway, and they're not going to get them from U.S. manufacturers here. Now, J.P. Morgan is out there making a statement to the effect that economic disaster and more lockdowns are actually going to be great for stocks. And we've seen the stock market go up and up and up. There have been a few downs, but it was up again today. And, you know, the commentary keeps flipping back and forth. I mean, the first, back in 2016, they were saying a Trump victory was going to be good for the stocks. Then the Biden victory is going to be the best outcome for risk assets. Then the blue wave emerging is the most bullish outcome. They're basically, you know, trying to get ahead of the ball and say whatever's happening is going to be great for stocks. I don't know. The sense I'm getting is the stock market is more overly valued now than it was in 1929. And there's going to be a crash somewhere. And I'm glad I don't own stocks. I never have. I've never had the money to own stocks. But it's looking very iffy out there. Now, JCPenney, iconic retailer. We all grew up with JCPenney. And they're going through a reorganization plan. And they've basically filed a bankruptcy plan and accompanying disclosure statement about a week ago with Judge David Jones. And apparently the facts that have come out there is that the bankruptcy plan has been filed. JCPenney shareholders will get no monetary recovery and their stock is canceled. Okay. Now, second lien note holders will not get any recovery either because there is a higher level of priority claims. So that is a really bad situation. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back with more news after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Welcome back to our show here. And as a matter of fact, I was a pirate for Halloween. We actually had a lot more trick-or-treaters show up here than we were expecting with all this COVID-19 lockdown and everything. So that was kind of fun seeing all the kids in their costumes and everything. And then a lot of grown-ups were in costumes as well. Anyway, little friendly reminder one more time, Republic Broadcasting Network is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. We're in a war. We're really in a war against the corporate media that wants to go back to being able to lie to you with impunity, and we're the only thing standing in their way. So it's getting a little tense out there. And, you know, I'd like to say it's going to ease off after tomorrow's election, but I really seriously doubt it with all the tension that's out there. Anyway, if you can help out, and thanks to those of you who already have, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. All right, we're going to do a little more news here before we open up the phone lines. And we're in the middle of some economic news here. And along with JCPenney going bankrupt, America's shopping malls are starting to fall. Mall owner CBL and Associates has filed for Chapter 11 late Sunday, citing the coronavirus pandemic cutting into their retail business. And apparently, Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, which is the largest mall owner in Philadelphia, also filed for Chapter 11 early Sunday to execute a prepackaged financial restructuring deal. Okay, turning to international news here. Apparently, Muslims yelling Allah Akbar protest President Macron in Berlin. This all began in France, but it's spreading all over Europe. So this group of around 150 or so Muslims took to the streets of Berlin to protest against Macron. And according to a report from the tabloid BZ, no one was arrested for what the newspaper deemed a hate demonstration. Okay, now the French police have dispersed Turkish gray wolves after their anti-Macron, anti-Armenia Allah Akbar march. And this was in Dijon. Apparently over in Vienna, in a Catholic cathedral, there was an Afghan Muslim arrested for shouting Islamic slogans inside the cathedral until he was arrested by police. It's a little crazy out there right now. Pro-Turkish slogans have been used to deface an Armenian memorial center in France. And apparently, an Iranian migrant has been charged with manslaughter over the English Channel drownings. 37-year-old Iranian man was charged with manslaughter after a family of 5 drowned trying to cross the English Channel from France. Now, the alleged trafficker, who was also a migrant, was arrested last Friday by authorities in Dunkirk, marking the first time an accused Channel people smuggler has been charged with manslaughter. It can be very rough water there in the English Channel here. Okay, from the woke part of the news here, apparently the Washington Department of Child, Youth, and Families is barring a couple from fostering their 1-year-old great-granddaughter because they oppose homosexuality and gender transitioning. And so they denied this couple from fostering this great-granddaughter because the great-granddaughter somewhere in the future might want to transition to being a boy. Okay, but apparently a federal judge reversed that decision, and the great-grandparents are going to have the kid. I think sanity finally broke out on that one. I really, just in time for Christmas shopping here, apparently there's a company that is making action figures of Dr. Anthony Fauci and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Something tells me they're not going to sell very well. I certainly wouldn't want one. Over in Kazakhstan, all convicted pedophiles' names, pictures, and addresses are publicly released. It's prompting fears of vigilante attacks, but apparently parents can use the map and database to check if there's a pedophile nearby. Let's see, where is Hunter Biden right about now? All righty. NATO has a new mission, according to Dylan Poll. Defending the West from the Russians is so last century, and now its new mission is to save the world from climate change, according to an op-ed written by NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. Well, they don't have a real enemy to fight, so they're going to keep on sucking money out of the various countries to fight climate change because it's making the world more dangerous, and NATO's task is to preserve peace. Actually, they haven't done a very good job of that either. And I think Stoltenberg probably wrote that in the hope that Biden is going to win tomorrow's election. And, well, there's music. We got to do more commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash. Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. Will Congress pay the piper when all the money's gone? Replace them all, start over while we all still can.
And welcome back to our show here. A couple more science stories, then we're going to open the phone lines here. Scientists over at the Large Hadron Collider hope to make contact with a parallel universe outside of our own. And who knows, maybe they're doing a better job of it than we are. But apparently they're going to fire up the LHC to its highest energy levels ever in a bid to detect or even create miniature black holes. And all I can say to the scientists at CERN is don't drop it. Okay, a few weeks ago, there was a big news headline about how phosphine had been discovered in the atmosphere of Venus, and that the way the chemistry worked, the only way phosphine could be created was through biological processes. But apparently, scientists not involved in the original detection took a fresh look at the data, and they are casting doubt on the idea that there might be life on Venus. So take a hint, go back to Mars. Spoiler alert, there is life there. Okay, let's go ahead. Boy, the phone lines are just loading right up here. Peter in Los Angeles, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the air.
Well, oh, okay. Mike, I'm calling in. You were talking about in California, they're trying to amend the textbooks and curriculum to basically expunge any kind of criticism of Israel.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, Dianne Feinstein, our senator, our Jewish senator, her husband sits on the board for the University of California Regents.
Yes.
And he put forth a deal where in the University of California, which includes Berkeley and UCLA and
Yes.
UC Santa Barbara, the UC system, that any criticism, they changed the definition of anti-Semitism to mean any criticism of Israel, of course, which is a real country with a real armed forces and,
and a real government,
drops real bombs and so on, and does real atrocities. So he used the lever of his wife and sanctions coming from his senator wife in order to get that rammed through. I also want to say in Virginia, they've been the Israeli lobby has been very active in censoring the textbooks there, where they changed the wording around to say instead of occupied, they'll say it's contested territory or things like that. No mention of Nakba, of course.
Yes.
Nothing like that. At the same time, of course, they're trying to make it mandatory that everybody have Holocaust training from cradle to grave, pretty much. But also in Virginia, and this is an article written by a gentleman named Grant Smith, who is probably the expert on the Israeli lobby. Grant Smith had an article called the Israeli Lobby Enters State Government. And in Virginia, they've managed to, with enough campaign contributions, to have their own Virginia government organization as part of the government of Virginia that is there to enable Israeli companies to sell in the United States. That is to say, this is the Virginia government is going to work against its own citizens and their businesses in order to help them, the Israeli foreigners, to sell within Virginia and open up businesses there. Now that's it. Now, when you talk about the censorship and, of course, 28 states that you can't criticize Israel and hold a government job or get a government contract or whatever, and that's only going to go up. And then we're looking at what's happening for censorship with Facebook and Facebook and Twitter and everything that we're seeing on the media that is so weaponized against Trump, for instance. On one side, they're all Jewish owned. And when you put all this together, I mean, and then, controlling our textbooks and what they can say on campuses and what you can and can't say and not hold a federal job and so on and so forth. And they're actually have weaponized our own state government against our own businesses in favor of Israeli businesses. And then you can take it a step further. Like, oh, by the way, we can't sell weapons to anybody in the Middle East unless Israel signs off on it. And today, I saw an article which I sent on to you where we've agreed because they agreed to let us. Good, thank God, Israel let us sell F-35s to some of the Emirates. In order to assuage the Israelis, we're now selling them F-22s, which we had not before.
Yes.
So we need their permission to sell, and then we have to compensate them by selling them even more, or giving them. We give it. We never sell them anything. They forgive everything. It's just, and how they permeate everything we see, everything we read, everything we hear, every movie we go to, every TV show, every book we read, because they control publishing as well, our schools, our textbooks, everything else. And now, obviously, they weaponize themselves in the electoral process, and where Trump can't even have his own Twitter account, right?
Yes.
That's how much control is being exercised over us. And I could go on to more, but I just wish people would know just exactly what we're confronting here. And who cares about China and Russia? This is the real problem. I mean,
Yes.
we're going to be serfs in our own country. And that's pretty much it for me, Mike. That's my 2 cents for the day.
All right. Well, Peter, thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to David in Boston. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Rihanna, Michael. The 49th and 50th state. Aloha for Hawaii and Quiana for Alaska. That's Yupik Eskimo for. Actually, that's Jewish Yupik Eskimo. Quiana. They say that coming and going, just like Shalom. Shalom, Shalom.
Yes.
Quiana, Quiana. But anyway, always good to hear Peter. He has a great namesake, of course. So, Mike, you know what? I'd like to give a shout out to Layla. She's up there. I take it. I think she's kind of like in Ontario. I used to speak with Ernst Sundell. We got in the habit of speaking on Sundays when he was at 16 Carlton Street in the Zundel house. I used to love his power letter. I used to receive it up in Eagle River, Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I'd characterize Layla the same way Ernst characterized himself, as a militant pacifist. And I'd like to see what Layla's opinion is on that, if she embraces that title, a militant pacifist. But Mike, I'd like to ask Layla, but with this pacifism, though, Elias Shakur, he was from the village of Kaffa Biram, and he was just a kid when the Zionist goons came into his village. And they rounded up all the men, and they told the men that they were going to march them out just a few miles out of the village, just to secure the village. They just wanted to secure the village, like check it for firearms and explosive, munitions, and so on. And they said, you'll be back in the evening to have supper with your family. We just want to. Well, they never returned. They marched them off. They wound up in some kind of refugee camp or something in Jordan or something. And anyways, sometime later, I don't know how much time went by, but Archbishop Elias Shakur said when they finally were kind of like reunited with their woman and saw their woman again. And as I say, I don't know how much time went by, but they were informed that the women were all raped and ravished, and some of them fought like tigers to resist these filthy Jewish rapists and everything. And a couple of them that really fought like tigers just had their throats slit. They murdered them if they wouldn't submit to these Jewish sex maniacs and everything. But so so I'd like Layla's feedback on that, and then. And I love Layla, like we all do. She's fantastic. Like the one man, Al from Canada, said she's a fascinating woman, and I second the motion. But changing the subject a little bit, Michael, is Michael, this fervor, this mania, this Trump mania, all these rallies and this Trump mania.
Yes.
With all these people screaming, "I love you, Trump," and all this stuff and everything. I came up with a name. Michael. I think they're suffering from a mental disorder. All these rabid Trump supporters and everything. And I've diagnosed them with Trump derangement syndrome.
Actually, that name's already been co-opted by the ones who are opposed to Trump.
Oh, I know, but I'm using the same. I think that was the minor definition of it, but the greater fulfillment of Trump derangement syndrome is, I think, these rabid supporters of Trump. And I'll tell you something, Mike, and then maybe Layla can weigh in on this too. But I'm in Boston here, and all I hear 24 hours a day and night, is these ambulances. And there's all these fentanyl, opium, heroin overdoses and everything. Now, Trump had 4 years to take our troops out of Afghanistan. I just want to characterize. I just want to say that I have unbridled admiration for those great Mujahideen warriors that stand up to this great global super Satan, this great global narco. It's a narco super state. This great narco super Satan. Okay, and you know these American men better realize that they're sowing to the wind, they're going to reap the whirlwind. And may God help them to stand up to the great Satan. May God help them to equip themselves with the bravery and the courage and the fortitude of the Mujahideen. Because don't think that the great Satan is just satisfied with killing the people on the other side of the world and killing the people in the Middle East and turning the whole Middle East into homeless refugees. The great Satan is killing us right here at home and our children. And the great Satan is coming after you. This great global super Satan, and I hope you stand up to this great Satan with the courage of the Mujahideen Afghan warriors. I have unbridled admiration for them, the way they stand up to this great nuclear-armed super Satan, and those brave Mujahideen warriors stand up to this great, wicked, evil super Satan. It's a narco terror state. We're over there mobbing them for their opium, okay? So,
yes.
So me and Paul are gonna definitely and probably Chance. I'm an oath keeper. I took an oath in the army to uphold the Constitution, Michael. No war's ever been declared, and over in Afghanistan, and when they administered the oath in the army, the person that administered, the man that administered, the officer, he made it clear that when we took that oath, it was for the rest of our lives as American citizens, as long as we were American citizens, even after we were drummed out of the army and everything, we're discharged from the armies, and so I renounce, reject, I condemn this great global super Satan, this great global narco terrorist state. And I stand in solidarity with the Mujahideen warriors. I stand in solidarity with Qasem Soleimani, who drove the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, Sunni hordes out of the Middle East. And the only reason Trump killed General Soleimani is that maggot-infested butthole just wants to take the credit for destroying ISIS, but it wasn't. It was Putin and General Qasem Soleimani that ridded the Middle East of the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. And having said that, Mike, the last thing I'll say, I have a little saying, Mike. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Everyone's heard that. But I say this, you can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think.
True.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch to Ray in Indiana. Hello, Ray. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. I called about the voting in Indiana, but I want to give you a quick story here. I was watching C-SPAN, Washington Journal, Saturday morning, and guess who called? Tom from Florida. It was clearly him. I've only got through once on Washington Journal. I'm a regular that I watch that show all the time, but I had to laugh when I heard Tom. And so let him know if he calls in that he has fans all over the country, and we heard him. But anyway, back to voting in Indiana. Have you done the early vote yet, or have you voted yet?
Yeah, we did the early voting. Well, actually, I don't vote. It just seems to encourage the bastards.
I was going to ask your thoughts on that, on the voting machine, because Indiana does not own those machines. They don't own the machines, and they don't own the software. But what do you think of the machines?
I'm always suspicious of all these machines here, and the fact that Indiana doesn't own them or the software. To me, that's very, very alarming. I think if we're talking about reforming our election system, I think the machines have got to be open and transparent, and people should be able to look inside and see how they're working. Minimum of software is required to actually just count pips on a card. And so this idea that the software is proprietary and therefore can't be inspected alarms me. I mean, you realize the gambling machines in Las Vegas are under much more secure control than our election machines.
I totally agree with you. But the point I was leading up to is those machines have this little wheel, and it's not a touch screen. And most everybody looks at that and thinks it's a touch. It's not a touch screen. You have to spin this little wheel, and it goes over each and every option.
Yes.
It's the craziest thing, and I don't know whoever programmed that was not. I can't believe it was a real programmer, because it's so unnatural the way. So people had. I actually helped out on the polls a couple of years back, and I had to explain to them every time. No, you have to spin that wheel, and it cycles each choice, and then you have to. And I hear the music. Anyway, keep up the great work, and go Trump. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Leroy lives in a cardboard box down by the mission bell, where saints refuse to go and the sinners wish him well. Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. Decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? The preacher man wags his head while the rich man turns away. His mother looks on weeping.
Okay, welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael. Aloha. Good day to you. And yeah, thanks for that. That was a nice call, last caller. Yeah, Michael. What's on my mind is let's get to the real facts now. We may have you were talking about black holes. We might have a black hole in 24 hours in our government.
Yes.
We might have a black hole, a communist black hole. Like Rubio said last night. There's a lot of Democrats ain't socialist communists, but those Democrats are. So the Democrats are the socialist communists. Basically, how you heard Rubio's speech last night, Mike?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he said the Democrats. Not all Democrats are socialist communists, but all Democrats.
All socialists are Democrat. Yeah, I saw the quote.
Right. Yeah, really good quote. But I got to get back to David. The guy's always talking about Trump rallies and this, and the guy's crazy and syndrome. No, Dave, you're wrong there, my friend. Do you want the bumbling buffoonery of Biden and communist Camilla in our government, running our government?
Yeah.
This guy's nutting up right now on Trump. Can you imagine how this guy's going to be when bumbling buffoonery of Biden gets in there, Kamala? This guy's going to go off the rails. He'll be on volume or something. I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. But, Mike, I got to tell you, I went and saw this guy, Charlie Kirk, the other night. I was for the students for my daughter. And he was over here. And I'd never seen such a crowd as far as a little ballroom. They had a ballroom. And there must have been, the thing was jam-packed. You couldn't even walk in there. Everybody had masks on. Everybody was masked up. And so Dustin, don't call in. So it was good in that regard. And the guy who made a lot of sense. Candace Owens wasn't able to make it. But I've been telling you for a long time about this election where I think Trump may have dropped the ball on this. Dropped the ball is not having Larry Elder, Candace Owens, and all these other guys of this documentary, Uncle Tom, because I believe Trump. Trump gets 15% of this election from the black vote, Mike. I think he's going to win it. However, if he doesn't get under 15, if he gets 10 or less, why did Donald Trump go out, stick his neck out all this time for the black vote when they betrayed him?
Well, last I heard, he's polling 31% among black voters.
Well, then, Mike, if he's pulling 31%, he's going to win in a landslide. However, we'll find out tomorrow night. If he gets under 10%, you know what? No Republican leader, no white male who runs for president can appease the black Afro-American vote. No way. Because nobody's done as more for them as Trump. Let's not kid ourselves. If he doesn't carry at least 15% of the black vote after all he's done is gave out, and what other white candidate who's ever going to run as a Republican is going to have this outreach? The blacks, Mike. So I'll hang on if you can. I got a lot more stuff. But
stay on the line. Stay on the line. I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to come right back to you after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. foreclosure. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show. Hour number 2, we're on the phones with Tom in Florida. And Tom, I think one of the reasons that Trump is polling 31% of the black vote has less to do with what Trump has done for the black population and more to do with the realization among the black voters that the Democrats keep promising they're going to make things better, but never really have. And the Democrats have had this attitude that they own the black vote. And I think that struck a very negative chord with black voters, especially, with all this, talk about, the evils of slavery and reparations and whatnot. And I think black voters are realizing the Democrats, in a very metaphorical way, have put them back onto the plantation.
Well, yes, Michael, I agree with that. But let me let you know what's going on here in South Florida. Here, yesterday we had a rally before the Trump rally in Opelika. There was 4,000 cars lined up for miles and miles. I'm going to tell you how they're getting the news. Not one Spanish station, 51 or Channel 23, would report on this rally. None of the ABC, NBC, or CBS affiliates would talk about it. They wouldn't interview none of the people in this 4,000 caravan rally here on one of the 2 major roads, Coral Way and the Bird Road area. And what happened is, when he was in Opelika, he did have 46,000 people at that rally, supposedly. Okay, now they're complaining about the mask and it was over curfew. I don't know if you heard about that. But listen, let me get back to this. You know how they're getting their information now, Mike? All these networks, what they're doing, these Spanish networks especially, they're using drones. They're flying a drone over, they're taking the video, and then they send it into they don't even bring these news reporters out and these trucks with the Channel 4 truck and all that, the Channel 51 trucks. They don't do that no more. They use drones. They fly over the crowd. They don't want to report it. They only put it on the air for 10 seconds. Even the Spanish network. So there is a big cabal, like Peter said earlier. Pete was right. The Zog is running everything. Zog is running this country right into the ground. Okay? Zog is running this country because you can see what's going on with the news broadcast. But now here, Mike, I'm going to talk, and I want our friend Dustin to call in today because I'm going to give him a little ammunition. I want to know what Dustin thinks about the 29, almost 30,000 women that weren't allowed to go on Facebook and post for Donald Trump. And I want Dustin to call in and give me an explanation of what's going on in New Jersey. What all these Trump supporters, they can't even get on Facebook or Twitter. They can't even talk to each other. I mean, you tell me what, and I gotta hit back what Peter said, Mike. How are these Jews that only represent, there are only 7 million of them in this country, almost 8 million, okay? 140 million Catholics. How are these Jews, Mike, in the Senate getting all these Senate seats like Feinstein in California? You got Blumenthal in Vermont. You got all these schmucks, all these Bernie Sanders, Bernie. How does Bernie get elected in that state? Are these white people nuts? Are they absolutely insane? We hear this guy, Dave, calling all the time, ragging. Hey, Dave, why don't you start talking about the kooks in New England states that are voting for Jews for Senate? Why didn't you do something about that, Dave? You live up there in Boston. You got a freak show like the Indian Pocahontas, the fake Indian Pocahontas. How does she get elected, Mike? Are these people that dumb up in those New England states, or that imbecile? They're imbeciles.
Or maybe election fraud is far more. Maybe election fraud is more pervasive than we thought. And when it comes right down to it, the Jewish population, by and large, controls a great deal of wealth, and money is power in this country, and can certainly overcome the differences in population.
Mike, I agree with that. But when you have sheer numbers, everything's look. Is it arithmetic or is it's like numbers? I'm sure you're much better than me in numbers. But how is it where you can't even get a Christian or I don't know who a candidate to run against a guy like Dick Blumenthal who says he's in Vietnam? This guy keeps getting elected for Senate. The guy's a hypocritical liar. The big state Israeli plant. I mean, and this guy keeps getting elected, and the guy's lying up through his yin-yang, his kazoo, and they still elect him. Dave calls in all the time bashing Trump. Yeah, Trump's got a son-in-law as a Jew. Fine. Well, hey, that's like, there's this old adage, Dave. You got to, if you can't beat them, you join them. And that's what it seems like happened when there's a lot of stuff with a lot of people that's going on in this country because of money. It is about the money. Even Charlie Kirk was saying about that with the college campuses, Mike. All these college campuses all over the United States, these kids have been so indoctrinated and brainwashed. They don't even know how to write their name in cursive, Mike. They don't even know how to write their name. They don't even find a checkbook right when they open a checking account.
Yes.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's horrific. And, you can't blame all this on Trump. Look at his bumbling buffoonery of Biden. All the money he steals from China. And the guy's trying to act like he's going to rehire Fauci if Trump fires Fauci. This whole thing is a cabal, man. It's a cabal, Mike. And like I told you, there were so many thousands of people. And, by the way, Donald Trump's doing really great in Dade County with the vote. I don't know if you know that.
No, I hadn't heard.
Great.
Good.
Yes, Donald Trump is he's only 94,000 votes off from Biden in the early ballot. They just had that on the news. So Hillary won Dade County by over 300,000 votes. Well, Donald Trump has narrowed that down to less than 100,000 right now. Before the vote tomorrow. So I think that's way good for Trump. However, Mike, they're going to try to steal this election. Like you've been saying it for a year. Donald Trump should have stopped this nonsense with the mail-in ballot. Republicans allowed this to happen to our country. This mail-in crap. It should be election day is when the election takes place. And the only one that should be early are the guys on the military base that Bill Clinton got rid of. When you're a military man, you're on a base, you vote, and then you get your mail-in ballot sent in to be counted during election night. What's going on in our country, man? I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, the coronavirus is let's call it what it is, Mike. It's the Wuhan flu. It came out of red communist China because they don't care how many people they lose, and they don't care if the rest of the world suffers. They got 1.4 billion. And the USA Today paper in 2010, they had a general said, if you wiped out half our population, you'd be doing us a favor. And nobody ever catches up on that. Not even the Republicans are talking about that. The Chinese don't care, Mike. They don't care if you knock out 400, 500 million of them. Think about it. There are 1.4.9 billion people there. That's not even counting India right next door.
Yes.
I just saw right now. China has 57 million more men and women in China, and India is even higher. 57 million more men in China than women, Mike.
Yes.
What does that tell you? That's absurd. Now, getting back to some of these callers are calling, and I hope Dustin does call in about the 29,000, 30,000 women who were knocked off of Facebook because look, Charlie Kirk was right on the money, Mike. Charlie Kirk was absolutely right. He's telling all these college kids from the University of Miami, Miami-Dade Community College, all the way up to FIU. And, Charlie Kirk was right on the money. That's where these Democrats are winning these elections at these college kids. They're brainwashed. They're totally brainwashed, and we have got to stop it. And one way when they would have been able to stop with the black vote is Uncle Tom, the video, what Candace Owens has out. Uncle Tom, if I believe that if Trump would have got out 10 million of those copies of Uncle Tom to all these Afro-Americans so they can send it to other family members, I think Trump would get 50% of the black vote on this election right now, tomorrow. However, he didn't do that. Like a lot of things he hasn't done with like sanctuary cities. Mike, we're living in a country where we got sanctuary cities, and these Democrats, every one of them, look at all these cities are burning up. They're all Democrat. All these cities that have sanctuary cities are all controlled by Democrat. You never heard anything else about Jesse Smollett. Okay? You never heard about what happened to Molly Tibbetts. Molly Tibbetts, correct? Was her name from Iowa?
Yes.
Joni Ernst, the senator of Iowa, would have run that ad about her and the illegal aliens, she'd be winning by 90% right now in the polls. The angel mothers and fathers. We never hear about the angel mothers and fathers anymore. Trump did, however, Sunday he had a thing, November 1st will be the day is known as Angel Mothers and Fathers Day for Americans murdered by illegal aliens. I thought that was really good on Trump's part. I think he's going to get a lot of votes with that, too. There's a lot of angel mothers and fathers. All we're hearing about the coronavirus. Hey, Mike, we still don't know to this day how it was made. We know it's made in a lab, but what is it made out of? A bat blood? Was it a rat blood? What the heck was it made from? A pingling? What was it, Mike? What kind of blood was mixed up? What kind of concoction was this? Who made this concoction? For what? What was the purpose to make this concoction? Try it out on Barry Soetoro, Hussein Obama? I don't know what the heck this is, man. That's another thing, Mike. Soetoro Obama's out there today. This guy looks like the Democrats like they have no energy. However, they're going to try to steal this election through the mail-in ballot, Mike, and you know that.
Well, it's not just the mail-in ballots. There's a lot of other stuff going on there, and I thought 2016 set a record for election fraud, but that's about to be broken tomorrow.
Yes, I got to say one more thing on the other callers. There is a couple of rappers here, famous rappers. I don't know. I just heard about them. I don't even know who they are, but I heard a couple of guys here, rappers in South Florida here. They have a big following of blacks, and they're voting for Trump. I think the one guy's name is Little Pump or something, Pump this, and all these girls are crazy about this rapper here. I think he's Hispanic, so he's bringing in a lot of votes for Trump. I do believe that if Trump keeps this, like what they're saying right now on the news, that he keeps this early ballot under 100,000, I think he's going to run away with Florida, Mike. I think Trump's going to win Florida because when the Panhandle comes in, he's going to wipe Biden up there. Trump's going to wipe Biden out up in the Panhandle from Jacksonville all the way to Pensacola, all the way down into down to Orlando. The villages and the villages here in outside of Ocala, they're very, very much voting for Donald Trump. I believe he's got 87% of the village vote. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting how they're going to try to steal Florida. I do, Mike. I got to say, if Trump does carry Florida and North Carolina and Arizona, I think he's gonna take it. How do you feel?
Well, Pennsylvania is still key, and we're going to be, all eyes are going to be on Pennsylvania. And I noticed that the Trump campaign asked the Pennsylvania Election Commission to identify everybody who's transporting the ballots, where they're being stored, and how they're being guarded. And I think they're going to send poll watchers to make sure that games aren't being played with those. And apparently the Pennsylvania Election Commission was very, very upset at this request.
Yep. It's going to be very interesting, Mike. And I to a couple of your callers like Dave and all that, Dave, if you get a guy like bumbling buffoon Biden in there with communist Camilla, your gas price can go probably around $5-6 a gallon. Your heating oil, forget it. It's all going to be off the charts. You people in the New England states are going to get wiped out financially, totally wiped out. And you know what? Please, Mike, like I say, I hope these guys all come down here with their filthy politics. I really do. I don't want none of these guys from New York, Jersey, California moving into Texas. We don't need this, man. And the people in Idaho don't want it. People in Montana. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm saying all your callers are great guys. They're all great guys. I'm just hoping. I'm saying in a big narrative, we don't want all these licky, touchy-feely liberals moving into these states. We don't need it. That's why they're trying to look. Why all these Central Americans and Mexicans moving up here, Mike? Why? Because they can't.
Well, the liberal destruction of our country. I mean, when I was a kid and I went to school, they taught us gun safety. Today, it's drag queen story hour.
Exactly. It's just totally amazing what's happening. And the leftists have gotten away with so much. It's beyond pale, man. It's beyond pale what's happening in the United States. And let's just hope, pray that this man can pull it out for another 4 years. If not, Mike, I tell you what, I think it's all out. I think it's a total destruction of the United States. And I tell you right now, they think Antifa's bad, and they think all these other groups are bad. They ain't seen nothing yet. Look, Mike, they got Washington boarded up right now. What is going on?
Yes, they do.
All these cities are being boarded up. What for?
Well, they're expecting violence after the election results, especially if Trump wins. We're definitely going to see rioting for, weeks, if not months.
Well, Mike, Trump does win. He's got to start thinking like, what would Eisenhower do? What would Eisenhower do if they tried this nonsense with him and his at that time? It's like immigration. They did try that with Eisenhower. He deported them back. And if they try to burn up Washington under Eisenhower, are you kidding me? No way. It would never happen. I don't know if they'd be using rubber bullets or live ammunition. Probably live ammunition. And they wouldn't put up with it.
No, they wouldn't.
So we'll see what happens. This can be really interesting in the next 24 hours, Mike. And thank you for taking my call. God bless you. And all I can say, Mike, Hey, the Republicans to me are liberty, and the Democratic Party is they're the party of tyranny. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at how it's going to go down. Liberty,
Okay.
you're going to end up with tyranny, and that's exactly how. Remember, I told you that it's going to play it out. If Trump doesn't win tomorrow night, we're looking at all-out tyranny in this country from here on out. And I don't think another Republican's going to get in there unless it's all out. It's going to be like 1860, Mike. I believe you feel the same way.
Yeah, it's it's shaping up that way. I'm hearing so many people talking about, violence in the streets and a new civil war and the balkanization of the United States. And, none of this is anything I want to see happen. But, right now I can't think of a way to keep it from happening. Anyway, listen, we're going to let you go. Are you done?
Yeah, Mike, one thing. I just want you to know that these Hispanics that live down here, they don't, especially the Cubans, they already went through communism. They lost their country through socialism, communism. And they're really they're very vocal and very outspoken. And I'm telling you, you saw that at the rally last night there. I mean, fire Fauci and all that. I mean, they don't want to go through communism again, man. That's all I got to say, actually, really, about that. And like I said,
all right. Well, Tom, thank you very much for the phone call here. And right now, our phone lines are full. And if you try and call in, you get automatically disconnected. And that works with the 800 number and the 512 number. So just, wait until some more callers are done and then try calling back in because, everybody's got an opinion today, which is, of course, what this show is all about. We're going to go back to the phones here to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on there, Mike? Questions on my mind. When I hear what these Democrats are trying to do, with their fraud there, with the mail fraud.
Yes.
And I've been getting all kinds of contacts and texts saying, "Oh, do you want to mail you?" I usually tell them to F themselves. Okay, fact. But then I already voted, and I voted straight Republican. Not that I'm a Republican, but right now the stakes are too high for the survival of this country, and what the Democrats have put up is just pure poison for this country. I just want to say something else too, though. I keep hearing certain callers making this sound like the problem is socialism, communism, or this ism or that ism. That's not the problem, Mike. The problem is Malthusianism.
Yes.
Want to lessen the human population, okay? And that's where people like Bill Gates come in. If anything, the problem is more a predatory type of capitalism that these technocrats practice, where they get so much money, they start pushing everybody aside and start dominating everything. The big banks also. Big banks do it mostly for greed. Big Pharma does it mostly for greed. The technocrats use this stuff to push their form of malthus on the rest of us, and they are the most dangerous. As far as socialism goes, there are good socialists and the bad socialists. You take Daniel Ortega there in Nicaragua. He's a very religious man, actually. He's outlawed abortion. He outlawed gay marriage.
Yes.
Very, very church-going country. And if you look at Belarus and Lukashenko there, who's everybody trying to make the big villain out now, he's a socialist. He's very close to, his system is very close to the old Soviet Union. They even call him the last, the last Soviet state, something like that. Now, he stood up to this COVID garbage. He doesn't have his people put on masks, and he said what they should do is drive tractors and drink vodka. Stop worrying so much about it, okay? And for that, the International Mafia Fund, that's what Gerald Celente calls it, they told him that they promised him some money, big loan, a few $1 billion, I believe, if he just goes along with the rest of Europe with the lockdowns and all that stuff. And you know what he told him? He told him to stick it. He didn't say it in those words, but basically that's what he told him. You're going, okay, the guy's a patriot. He is a socialist. That's not the problem, Mike. Some of the socialist states are a problem, absolutely. Some of the capitalist states are a problem. Okay? If you cooperate with the Bill Gateses of the world or with a quack like Fauci, then you're part of the problem. Okay? If you believe in putting on a mask, you should put on a mask. You're part of the problem. Okay? You're not
Mark.
part of the solution.
Yeah, Mark, I'm sorry. We got to take a break for commercials. I got to
Sure,
let you go. More phone calls after these few words.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Layla in Canada. And Layla, your ears must be burning. So many people are talking about you these days. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Actually, I was listening to you, and you sound like you're a little tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. I just wanted to say that I think it's time we start calling Zionism what it is, and that is globalism. Jews are merely the foot soldiers, whether or not they willingly signed up because of the financial benefits of being a Jew and belonging to that powerful organization. They're just on the periphery. They're basically on the ground. There is a hierarchy, but ultimately the Zionists are the globalists that we continually refer to without actually establishing who they are. And they were founded formally in France in 1860 as the Universal Israelite Alliance. And it, of course, evolved from there. But anyway, I wanted to draw your attention to something that I noticed you didn't cover. Justin Trudeau last week said that he was bringing in 1.5 more million migrants over the next few years. And the excuse they're giving is so that they can fill the jobs that are empty. 1.5 million is what, I mean, they're acknowledging 1.3 million. So we can probably double that amount. Where are they going to be coming from? Are they going to be more of those who yell, Allahu Akbar? And that means, by the way, my God is greater than your God.
Yes.
Allah, who is he, is Akbar, means greater. It's a relative value. So that is what they are yelling. So basically, it seems to me that we've been caught between two forces that have always been fighting each other. Those who call themselves Jews or Zionists, and the Islamists who used to belong to the Ummah, which was also a global concept. If you join Islam, you are a member of the Ummah, the worldwide federation of people who believe in the greater God, the one who is supreme. Now, not all Muslims are that fanatic, and that's the important thing to point out. But along with the announcement of last week that 1.5 more million immigrants are being brought in, on Sunday, I think it was, just yesterday or Saturday, there was another shooting in the province of Quebec. And once again, they're claiming that the man is not part of domestic terrorism, but that he's mentally ill. That brings to mind Alexandra Bissonnette, who killed 6 people in a mosque while they were praying. I don't know if you remember that story.
Yeah, it's a while back, yes.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago. He was a 24-year-old, and right away the Muslims started crying, terrorism, terrorism, we're victims, we're victims. And they refused to. Now, Trudeau did call the kid a terrorist, and the boy's father begged the people to stop calling him a terrorist, especially Justin Trudeau, stop calling him a terrorist because that puts our family in danger. Now, the reason this is happening in Quebec is we are forgetting Quebec residents, French Canadians, are nationalists. And they resent bitterly that so many of the migrants are being put into their province. They, in the past, have always had sovereignty and control over their immigration. They also have a parliament that is not really it's a parliament unto itself. It's called, of all things, the National Assembly, not the Provincial Assembly, the National Assembly. And that all comes out of Trudeau appeasing the separatist movement in 1970 when he initiated the War Measures Act, which brought hell down on his head. So when we talk, if we ignore what is going on in Canada and this little twit, Justin Trudeau, being duped into bringing in more migrants, where do you think they're going to go when Canada runs out of money? If he brings in another 1.5 or 2 million immigrants, where are they going to go when Canada's already so deeply in debt?
They're going to head south.
Have the GD, they're going to go south. Of course, they already are. It's a very porous border. They're going to go south. So the Americans, instead of worrying about the outcome of this coming election, which, by the way, is not really going to make much of a difference since both sides are being run by the same cabal, as Dave points out, and as many other people point out, and that cabal is the globalists or the Zionists, and not the Jews, but the Zionist elite. And their greatest advocates in the U.S. have been the Christian Zionists, many of them probably in New England, as well as the other states like Florida and Texas. You have a lot of Christian Zionists who really are not particularly rational. But also,
No.
if you look at Christian doctrine,
Okay, Layla.
Christian doctrine.
Layla, I got to put you on hold.
Yeah, okay.
I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. We're going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet, also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Call me U.S. Steel, 21st Century Fox soundbite. Who gives a damn what's true or false, long as it leans to the right. At a token liberal, pretend I'm fair. A bimbo for some sex appeal. I'm busy oiling up the corporation wheel, and they call me U.S. Steel.
And welcome back to our show here. We're still on the line with Layla in Canada. And Layla, if you could just sort of pick up where you left off about, well, you were talking about Zionism and globalism and your opinion that it doesn't matter who wins the election tomorrow, that it's not going to change anything.
I don't think it really. Yeah, I think Trump and Biden are desperate to win for their own advantages and how it will enrich them personally and their particular. I mean, it's been like a revolving door around Trump, people coming in and out, except for his family. As for Biden, he's come back practically from the dead, a resurrected mummy, and
Yeah.
Kamala Harris. They're not going to be running the country. They're only there
No.
as puppets anyway. And they're on both camps have Jews who are the foot soldiers for the Zionist globalists. So we might as well acknowledge nothing will be resolved, just like in Palestine, which, as I've said before, prior to the British mandate, it was not, it did not have fixed boundaries and was not a national entity. It was a collection of people living in regional enclaves where they had true self-determination. Individual groups. It wasn't until the Zionists came in and the British created a Palestinian state to enable the Zionists to come in. And the first governor of Palestine was Herbert Samuel, or Samuel Herbert. I can't remember the order in which. So clearly we know who was what the objective was. And it's good that people are concerned about what happens to the Palestinians, because the Palestinians are basically the same ethnic groups that constitute the rest of the world. St. Jerome of the Catholic Church complained. He was there for 30 years, translating from Hebrew and the Greek into the different. So he was in Bethlehem for 30 years, and he complained that there were so many foreigners coming into Bethlehem that it was becoming very annoying. A lot of them stayed because they were fanatic religious types, that they were pilgrims. And then they eventually were part of the group that was taken hostage by Islam. And they, in order to stay or be killed, they adopted the identity of being an Arab and being a Muslim. And the Christians who did not convert fled because they easily integrated into Western societies. But those who were fanatical about the, quote, Holy Land stayed. And they're the ones who have resisted so strongly against the military force that is not ever going to let them win. But that's an example of an ongoing dispute. What's it been, almost 100 years? There's no resolution there, and there never will be, because the Zionists, the globalists, have that much control. They've been at it for so long. They've got their people planted. The Canadian military, we know, is, by the way, another story today in the Canadian paper. The Canadian military now acknowledges that they're establishing a propaganda department, and they're going to be using, so they're saying it's fair for them to use social media because the people themselves have already put it out there into the public arena. And so, and this is one reason I avoided joining any of the social media. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
I don't even know what, I've never used Instagram or any of those silly things where people seem to think that they can't communicate with their families unless they use the internet. Whatever happened to the telephones? Maybe it's time we go back to landlines where you can't tap it unless there's a court order. But anyway.
Well, I don't know. I mean, even the landlines were being tapped illegally. I mean, there was that big stink about, the secret NSA rooms at the phone switching centers. Anyway, listen, Layla, I need to let you go. We got a bunch of callers waiting on the line, and we're starting to get close to the end of the program. And so I'd like to switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Michael, nothing says you're a Zionist more than voting for Laura Loomer. She's
Okay.
running to Florida for Congress. And she's, the first I ever heard of her was at that shooting when I heard her on the radio on Alex Jones, talking about the shooting in Vegas. And she said that some Muslims, she was very eager and early to say Muslims had foreknowledge of the shooting and left for the shooting. And she acts as a total Masada. And Donald Trump voted for her because Donald Trump is from that district, and Donald Trump voted straight Republican. So we can assume that Donald Trump voted for Laura Loomer. So for the people who are voting for Trump tomorrow, I should remind you, when you cast your vote, it's a very important thing. You are now going to be marching along with your new ally, Comrade Laura Loomer. You'll be marching and voting Sheldon Adelson and Ben Shapiro under the flag of Israeli expansionism.
Yeah, but you're going to get that with Biden too.
But nonetheless, it's your tacit approval when you vote tomorrow. All you guys out there, you know who you are.
Yeah, but everything that you just said also applies to people who vote for Biden.
But I'm just saying, remember this. This is make yourself. This is like you're marrying yourself to Donald Trump tomorrow and to Zionism. This is combining our families with the Israelis and basically running the full whatever Israel wants, Israel gets in the whole region agenda.
But you're going to get that with Biden as well. I mean, look at his voting record in the Senate. You know, Biden.
You guys own it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that applies to Biden as well.
And I think all you guys, maybe you should consider buying yourself like some little yarmulke, a MAGA on it. You can wear them around. You're signing on to Zionism, letting Israel rule the financial sector.
Yeah, but you get that with Biden as well.
Kushner in there. You're allied with Sheldon Adelson.
Okay, Paul, you know, your bias is showing and you're not listening because everything that you've said also applies to people who vote for Biden because Biden is as pro-Israel as anybody. And in fact, it was almost a competition which one of them was more pro-Israel. And so it's kind of a moot point as far as tomorrow's election is concerned. Anyway, Paul, thanks an awful lot. Yeah, I know what you're trying to do, Paul, and we're going to let you go.
The voters and remind them that they're signing on. Remember, fellas, when you're in
but that's true with Biden as well.
For Trump.
That's okay. That's true with Biden as well. Paul, thank you very much for the call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Joe in California. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to say a few things.
Okay.
When I first, it's been a few years since I even called you, and the callers in are really growing, and the information is very good. When I first learned of you and Rancho Runamaca and all of that,
yes.
I heard.
Oh, that's going back a lot of years.
And I was awakened. There was one of your guests or the people that call in. I happened to meet that person about 30 years ago when I made he kind of woke me up to it. You know where the old thing where you look at the dollar bill and all the hidden stuff in it.
Yes.
My awakening. And I got a pair of acoustats from the guy when he changed to his Martin Logans. And I still have those to this day. But let me get back on track, the things that you talked about today. One of them is I hope that you have George Webb on your show. George Webb is very knowledgeable about where the virus came from, who made it, where the money came and went, so on and so forth. Some people called in and said that talked about the black vote. The Diamonds and Silk women were punished brutally for standing up along and siding with Trump, and all of their funding was robbed from them simply because they supported Trump. I know that Florida helped the Bushes when they rigged the election, so trying to say one state or another is in bed or out of, I think it's all the same people. I think it's a group of Freemasons or some sort of secret society that goes way, way back. And Eisenhower warned us about this military-industrial complex of secret people meeting in back rooms and Bohemian Grove-style environments to decide what's going to be done for the benefit of themselves and their families to maintain their monopolies. And then when you get out against them, they don't want their monopoly brought up. They just say, oh, we're just good capitalists and we've invested well. And when in fact they simply buy the right politician for the amount of favoritism they need to leave themselves alone while they take more taxpayer money and stuff their pockets and head to the offshore tax shelters to avoid paying while telling you that you need to give more while they give less, but at the same time telling you they're going to do what's best for America when in fact they don't.
No.
And the robots that Bill Gates wants to bring in and the people to build them on the H-1B visas, that large amount of immigrants that come in and nobody knows how they get in. But when you look at the the numbers coming through, and they're all getting government jobs, and they're all making sure that their special interest is maintained. And while other things, people are punished. You know, you look at the amount of cost for it. The Catherine Austin Fitts explained to the American people, $50 trillion in debt. The government is to pay their salaries and so on. These people are costing trillions of dollars, and the debt is, there's just no money for it. When you try to go to them same government employees to say, we would like something done about, let's say, Hunter Biden's laptop or anything, the first thing they do is tell you they can't handle it. They won't take care of what they were hired to do, or they swore an oath to take care of. That makes sense.
Okay.
I know that there's no money in the cure. You know, everyone's telling you that through the Hegelian dialectic, let's create a problem, let's announce it on the TV, create massive public, and then magically have a high-cost solution. Everywhere you look, there's no money in the cure. And even
Goldman Sachs says actually curing patients is a bad business model.
I know Dianne Feinstein's maiden name is Goldman, but the El Chapo guy that dug his way out of prison,
yes,
during the court case, he mentioned the amount of millions of dollars he paid to Feinstein and Pelosi and other California leaders to make sure that he was ignored when he came back and forth across the border. And all of that was, part of national news, but nobody talks about those things. Everyone's saying America is boarded up right now, but when you look, it's the Federal Reserve has guards out in front of it that are funded by the taxpayers. The globalists aren't going to let their stuff get damaged in a riot. So, only mom and pop and your own family gets hurt, not their stuff. The Freemasons make sure that their stuff's looked after. And when you look at the top, who's making the money, they try to tell you there's a Republican and a Democrat when they're the same thing.
Yes.
I know long ago you used to be able to vote who was the best candidate, but money has altered it to where there's this Republican and this Democrat, but they're in the rhinos or dinos. They're in the name only. When you look at it, those same people can be traced back to like the Renaissance Fund and the Mercers and those people who move money across Wall Street through phone lines with a special software at a rapid speed, and they capitalize in both directions, and they play both sides. And
yes.
Way back when Eisenhower warned us about it. When you first came, when I became aware, you went through everything from the Spanish mines and Havana harbors, all these false flags and this stuff that goes on that tricks people into thinking that, we're being attacked, so we need to turn the money wheel and we have to go to the Pentagon and we have to borrow more money. And then we were declared bankrupt in the 30s. All of our gold was taken from us. And then suddenly the Rockefellers showed up and they were going to put the dollar to be backed by the barrel of oil instead. And it had a Bretton Woods Agreement title. Now, every time you turn the news on, oil is up or down, and our dollar is going to collapse, or it's going to go up, or the dollar is worth 4 cents if you really looked at it. And everyone's rich on paper, and no one has any actual wealth, and no one owns any property, and there's no freedom, and there's no property rights. And everybody you see that's homeless, when you ask them, why are you homeless? Well, my property taxes kept going up to fund these government employees who won't enforce the laws. So the bank took my house, and now I'm living on the streets, and I need even more help. And it's just like a vicious cycle. And centuries ago, the Tytler, Alexander Tytler, he coined the phrase the Tytler cycle, where it shows that every democracy collapses after 200 years. And it's because of largesse, or people who vote themselves too much from the Treasury till not enough coming in to fund what's going out.
Bread and circuses.
And that's why and the constitutional republic was written to avoid ever being a democracy. When the founding fathers mentioned it, they said, we're sick and tired of democracies and how they loot the people. We're going to create this constitutional republic where only the citizens of the nation can vote. No illegals, no dual citizens, no one else can be involved in government. And then next thing you see, there's these lobbyist groups, and there's every tax-exempt offshore tax shelter created to make sure that those groups can buy more government. And even the post office was caught helping Hillary Clinton. They were paid millions and millions of dollars in overtime, and they violated something called the Hatch Act. And these government agencies, FBI, and all these people who claim to be helping the American people, and when in fact they're doing exactly the opposite. The State Department says that they need 75 years of overtime pay in order to take the Hillary Clinton emails they have and compile them and format them into an easily readable document that the public can understand, and that needs 75 years of overtime. And it just seems like the fox guarding the hen house, or the people buying enough delay so that they can get a Democrat in office to hand out pardons, like truckloads of pardons. We get Kamala Harris in, and I know that she's not an American citizen. Neither parent was actually a citizen, and they never filled out the N400
Well, that's not a
form to be
requirement. She was born in the United States, and therefore she's eligible to be the president if something should happen to Joe Biden. There's no requirement that the parents have to be born inside the United States, and that gets a lot of confusion out there. Anyway, listen, Joe, I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take our last commercial break here. We've got 3 more phone calls on hold. I'm going to try and get to all 3 of you in our last segment after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After 1 day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know if they don't do something by and by. The rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And pardon me, welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. What's on your mind today?
Aloha, Michael. Yeah, that was an info-packed call by Joe from California. Excellent. And, of course, Tom, he's always doing the job out there. But, with Joe, I'd like to add, we can't get around to Hillary's email because we got 28 FBI agents out at Bubba Wallace's garage seeing who pulled down the
Yes.
garage door, with the strap. So, we can't get around to the things of less importance because we got to know what's going on with Bubba Wallace.
Yes.
But, again, I'm kind of perplexed by our caller there from North Carolina. Again, he, always calls in and bashes Trump, yet he's going to vote for him. But, he always finds some way to, exalt socialism somewhere in this world. I mean, it's just ironic because socialism is not Americanism, but he finds a way to exalt some leader from somewhere that's socialist somewhere on this planet, And he did like Bernie an awful lot, but he's always got some kind of way, there to exalt socialism and never nothing good about Trump, but I'm going to vote for him. And, when it comes to Biden, Michael, you're exactly right. It's not about, voting for Biden. Are you going to vote for an Americanism? Because who is closer to Americanism on things? I think it's clearly
Good
evident.
point.
Because
Good
both
point.
of them are going to support Zionism because, hell, is there really any choice? You got the Supreme Court wrapped up with it, the schools, educational system, the banking system. So, I mean, my contention is show me the guy that's going against Zionism because you know what I'm going to get out of that? A big fat goose egg. That's what I'm going to get out of any of these political leaders because there's not one of them. None of them have the testosterone to be able to do that. So it's a moot point. I mean, now the point is, are you going for socialism, communism, or are you going to try and support at least somebody who's going to give us some remnants that we can maybe save and build on of Americanism? And that's my call, Michael. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you're welcome here, and we're going to switch over to Ron in Missouri. Hello, Ron. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Mike. When it comes to the Pelosi and sushi dolls, I have two words: voodoo and pins. That's all I got to say.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for the call, and we're going to switch to Joe in Tennessee. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, first, to Layla, I appreciate her telling me that Allahu Akbar means God is greater. I always thought it was God is great, and
That's
that never
what I thought,
bothered
too.
me because I'm like, but when it's God is greater, that's a heck of a difference between that and God is great. Before I would be like, oh, that's nice, but now I'm like, whoa, that's almost a threat. Anyway, just to these people about Trump and being a Zionist. Layla also brought up Zionism and globalism. Trump is a non-globalist Zionist, and there's a big difference. And as far as him voting for Laura Loomer, and that's the reason you shouldn't vote for him, that's ridiculous. She's a Republican. Personally, I wouldn't vote for her, but by voting for Trump doesn't mean I vote for Laura Loomer. That one call seems
All
a
right.
little unbalanced with his
All right.
Trump
I got to let you go. We're at the end of the show.
Mike.
The
Thank
music. Yeah, the music is playing. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. Steve Elkins is on with John tonight, so you may want to listen to that here. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.